Richard Hammond,
Yes.
this is 5 minutes with you.
Has it started now?
It hasn't started yet because we haven't put the battery in.
Oh, I see. Right, so we can just waste this.
As a man who's interested in how things work,
Yes.
this is a battery-operated clock.
And you've stopped it by taking the battery out, haven't you?
Pretty much, yeah.
Basic. Okay, that works.
And in fact, I flick the alarm as the second hand hits 5 minutes, because you couldn't get a clock like this exactly on 5 minutes, could you?
This is more interested than I could possibly be in your alarm clock. But I'm loving your solution with the battery out. That's neat. It works. So we've got a countdown.
And I'm going to ask you to answer lots and lots of questions if possible.
Right.
More pressure on me, but then we get a sense of energy and we get a lot of Richard Hammond.
Well, under pressure on me because I'll have to give short, snappy answers rather than sit back and listen to my favourite sound in the world, which is, of course, me. I'll be pithy.
Okay, here we go.
Right.
Actually, it's going to be 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 from you.
I do the countdown.
You do the countdown.
I'll do the countdown.
And there we go.
5, 4, 3, 2, 2.5, 1, go. Your second hand's wonky.
Where did you get your love from cars?
It's always been there, I think, like a lot of little boys and girls. There's something about the dynamism of them. And both my grandfathers were kind of in and around the industry.
Were you always interested in how things work mechanically?
Yes. How it works. I did one of those part works when I was a kid, collected it. And then I had a book with a fascinating cutout with like a car, using all household items to replicate the bits of a car and the way it works. My favourite thing in the world.
Did you think about studying engineering?
Yes, I did. I got into university as an architect, which is related, but then I couldn't afford to go to university, so I canned it and got into radio instead.
You started out in local radio.
I did.
How did you get your break on Top Gear?
My break on Top Gear, that was after I'd already been working in radio for 12, 14 years by then, right, and TV, and I auditioned for it, along with a lot of other people. I'd auditioned for Top Gear before, and I got it, and it turned my life around. It was it changed everything.
Do you socialise with James May and Jeremy Clarkson?
We can't really not socialise because I do that job. It's constant. It is, when we say full-time, I mean it's full-time. We've spent more time in one another's company than anyone else has over the last 10 years.
Do friends ask you to sort their cars out for them?
They know better than to. Occasionally at parties I get asked, should I buy an Astra? Or whatever.
Can you fix a car?
Yes.
How did you learn to do that?
Because I had to when I was working in local radio, keep my car going. So, yeah, I've changed engines and rebuilt engines and cars.
Do you think we'll have cars in 100 years' time?
Yes. We'll always want mobility, moving from place to place, no matter how digital, how clever the world is. I don't think we'll be commuting because you'll do it all over the internet. We won't be travelling great distances for boring practical reasons, but we'll do it for fun, yes.
Give me an example of a development, an invention that might make cars better to use.
Different to use. If they find a means of storing hydrogen for hydrogen fuel cells, then we can have electric cars that have an endless supply of fuel. That'll make a big difference.
As a presenter of cars on Top Gear, do you ever worry about the impact that driving might have on the environment?
It may or may not be a factor. Along with them, I've just driven through London today and I've been shopping for clothes, which I never do. And if you think when a fashion changes and everybody throws away all their clothes, the quantity of fossil fuels of oil directly used in manufacturing those clothes and shipping them around the world is just as big, if not bigger. So I think there are a great many other things we need to address before we get down to affecting one another's personal mobility and ability to take the kids to school.
So is the answer to that no?
It's a factor, possibly, amongst many others, and it's not as big as some people make it out to be, because there are many, many others, I suspect, like keeping your house warm.
Did you pass your driving test the first time?
No, second. Don't want to remember it.
Do you enjoy driving in everyday life?
Yes. Yes, I drove into London today. It took me 3.5 hours from Ross on Wye. I like it, yeah.
Tell me, with presenting generally, away from cars, what makes you decide, yes, I'm going to go for that particular programme?
It's got to be a project that I would watch. That's the first acid test. Yes, I'd watch that. It's got to be good of its type. Honest. If it's entertainment, is it entertaining? If it's a factual show, are the facts brilliant? Or does it need to be propped up with somebody goofing about, in which case I won't do it. Factual, facts have to lead.
You're presenting a programme about the impact that how animals are, how they behave, how they're structured, how they're made, or impact that has on technology.
Yeah.
How big an impact has that had?
Huge, both directly and, as it turns out, retrospectively. You can see that we've come to the same conclusion as evolution, and that's where the programme works. It's biomimetics is the field that it covers, which has, during the course of 2 or 3 years I've been trying to get this project off the ground, has become really hot news. And it's things like the way a giraffe's head doesn't blow off every time it bends down to drink, which it should because it has twice our blood pressure. That's influenced directly a new G-suit called a giraffe suit by copying it. So sometimes we've looked at nature and solved the problem. Sometimes we've solved the problem and realised nature's already done that.
What's the biggest adventure you've ever had?
Biggest adventure, possibly when I went to the North Pole with Top Gear and I ran with a dog team. It was incredible.
Scariest moment of your life?
One of them, bizarrely, was jumping off a cliff in Africa to fly with the Cape Vultures underneath a hang glide. I was just terrified. The fear never left me, which usually it does.
How do you look back at your famous crash?
It's one of the many big things that happened in my life. We all have them, be they marriage or children or whatever else. That's now filed away with the big things that made me what I am.
Did it change your life then?
Yes, but then things do. You get married, changes your life. Have kids, changes your life.
Has it changed your way of dealing with risk, assessing risk?
No, I'm not reckless. I'm not incautious. I do look at it first.
You run a lot?
Yes.
What does that give you?
I run as much for my mind as for physical fitness. It keeps me steady, sane, happy, positive.
Other interests, very quickly, 4 seconds, outside work.
Other interests outside work, I like running, I like my children and dogs and my home life.
And that, Richard Hammond, is a lot of questions.
Isn't it? And it's 5 minutes, isn't that intense? That's a really fascinating exercise.
It was really intense, very good to see you.
Very nice to see you. I hope none of those were too long and rambling. I could have filled all 5 talking about any one of those things, that's the point.